In maximum cases, luxury car makers tend to launch with the normal version, observed through a greater powerful version for those that absolutely want extra and are willing to pay the top rate. But no longer AMG-it likes to do matters in a different way. The opposite of what would possibly appear logical to you or I. The rationale is simple sufficient, as it seems. AMG customers, of which there are lots, want to clutch the new range topper instantly upon its release. However, there are those customers looking to step up from, say, an E43 AMG into the huge league, yet for an inexpensive access price. The charge variance is 50 grand among it and the AMG E63, whereas with the E63 S it blows out to 80 massive. Mercedes AMG launched its monster-powered E63 S in June 2017, a brand-new technology automobile armed to the enamel with the heart-spitting dual-faster 4.0-liter V8 producing a Herculean 450 kilowatts and 850 newton-meters of tarmac-shaking torque. 6 months later it released the standard non-S version, the E63. But let's be sincere, there's not anything ordinary approximately the trendy Mercedes AMG E63. Not anything in any respect. That's due to the fact that on the spot you loosen its leash, all hell breaks free as you're catapulted in the direction of the horizon at a zillion k's an hour and feeling a bit at the queasy facet. That'll be your brain and frame gambling seize up with the significant G-forces at work here, as all 4 tires hook up with zero wheel spin weight to the E63's 4MATIC plus all-wheel power system. This is a severely speedy vehicle. Faster than any Avenue Prism 4-door own family sedan of such length and heft has any proper to be. And here's the thing. In case you didn't know there was an S version, you'd be none the wiser and 100 in line with Scent Glad along with your luxurious awesome saloon. The Mercedes AMG E63 only gives away 1/10 of a second to its pumped-up sibling, 3.4 seconds, but at the identical time the E63 S asks for a 30 grand top class. At the same time as that might seem a bit steep, it does consist of key overall performance componentry like an electronically managed rear differential lock over the same old mechanical diff, together with dynamic engine mounts. Each structure is integrated to offer greater precision at the restriction, most sizable in the course of high-velocity track sessions simplest, we'd advocate. The only issue you may continually depend on with something from an AMG-built V8 is an entire lot of noise, and the E63 belts out the most important bass in this regard. Even on startup it feels like a completely fledged struggle tank at idle, but open it up in Sport Plus and you may as well be trackside at one of these monster track activities. It's honestly intoxicating. Okay, the E63 S is louder once more. But except you're riding them return to again with a throttle pinned to the firewall, and decibel meter in hand, you'll be none the wiser. The stock E63 is loud sufficient to stir the senses and make you experience such as you're piloting a full-blown GT3 racer. AMG's 9-pace auto is any other technological masterpiece, quick shifting, splendid smooth and tremendously perceptible to adjustments in driving fashion. Its ability to downshift 3 gears in a split second even as hard on the brakes into a corner is tremendous, if no longer puerile bliss. And that's without so much as unmarried pull of the paddle shifters. Superb stuff, honestly. Cycle through the numerous force modes and you soon welcome the Jekyll and Hyde nature of the E63. There are huge reserves of torque to be had from very low within the rev variety. So even cruising alongside at 80 km per hour in 7th, a mild prod of the throttle is enough to wake the beast and thunder past slower visitors, effects. And that's in comfort. Scrolling via to the extra excessive settings truly brings significant urgency to each change in tools ratio. However, the cogs themselves shift with an unusual level of refinement at some stage in what is nothing short of brutal acceleration from nearly everywhere throughout the rev range. And as a whole lot as we might be enthusiasts of these superbly crafted metal paddle shifters, you definitely don't need to use them on this automobile at all, except you're at the racetrack. This transmission is simply too appropriate to bother with them. What's greater, the E63 is a large automobile, just shy of 5 meters in period and almost meters huge, with a curb weight of 1,875 kilograms, so it ought to be a handful inside the twisties, proper? Remarkably, no. The grip degree for a high overall performance automobile of such large proportions and weight is super. A large part of that is because of the fat Michelins down the back, but there's additionally an awful lot taking place under the pores and skin. That includes the new absolutely variable torque distribution device on each the front and rear axles, which permits you to take advantage of grip and traction to the very limits of physical adhesion. In some ways it defies physics itself, given the cat-like directional adjustments which might be viable on this vehicle. The E63 is able to wearing huge cornering speeds, yet taut frame management maintains the auto dead flat at all times, to the point where your self-belief swells and also you start pushing even harder. There's some right weight to the steerage too, however first rate of all it's precise with pin factor accuracy, permitting you to place the auto exactly in which you want it on the road. It's no longer an automobile that feels huge behind the wheel. In reality, the harder you push, the smaller it feels, thanks to a few black magic in relation to chassis balance. You want some huge braking energy to drag this thing up in a rush, and even as huge 402mm carbon ceramic units are to be had, the usual 360mm brakes are greater than as much as the mission. And, importantly, pedal pressure is linear and inspires further confidence. Experience comfort relies upon on what mode you're in, but with the multi-chamber air suspension, drivers are able to dial up a terrific spread between consolation and Game Plus settings. Although it have to be stated, there's usually underlying firmness to the ride that lets you know you're riding one of the world's most powerful sedans. The E63 doesn't mainly like damaged road or sharp edges, but on the other hand, it nevertheless holds its line and feels remarkably planted, even for the duration of mid-corner hits. However, it's this automobile's agility with a view to have you scratching your head, nearly in bewilderment, given its mass. We'd pick more compliance within the least competitive mode, however even blasting alongside a poorly maintained U.S. return street, it's now not something you'd supply a second notion to due to the fact you're having an excessive amount of amusing. There's plenty of protection kit too, and not just the same old suspects. The E63 advantages from the standard E-magnificence energetic tech that includes a complete suite of partial automobile autonomy, making it one of the most technologically superior automobiles in the international, consistent with Mercedes-Benz. There's radar cruise, lane help, blind spot monitoring, pre-crash education and self-sufficient braking at the ready. But with any complete-strength AMG version, the monster engine and performance parts tend to overshadow the rest of the automobile, so it's easy to forget about approximately the amazing cabin with its showy mixture of wood, steel and the very modern in generation. The dual-wide screens will take your breath away with their crystal-clean clarity and sheer size. They nearly consume the complete console. The Napa leather sports activities seats are firm but with sufficient cushion to be classed as highly priced, but now not pretty in the manner those within the S-Class are. It's the bolster that counts more in this vehicle, and the reality that the seat and driving role can be adjusted to the nth degree. The extra than probable go along with the full-blown E63 S, however in case you're coming out of something greater modest, the inventory E63 makes a whole lot of experience. It's nevertheless a mega brief V8 monster that still ticks the own family car container, youngster seats and all. Thanks for watching.